Hey, what's up, my friends? I got another special video. First of all, I just want to thank you all for your eyes and your ears. Mostly your ears. I know I'm not the most pleasant thing to look at, but anyway, you do look at me. Um, so, how to deal with loneliness. And I've dealt with this quite a bit. Mostly the loneliness of being alone, which isn't necessarily synonymous because you can feel lonely in a crowded room, which is also what I felt. But here's a couple of things that I want you all to know about loneliness and just certain perspectives. Because first of all, let me just say, although I didn't write this down, I keep my list with me. Everybody's going through their own journey. Everybody has their feelings of insignificance and all that. You probably don't really focus on that when you're thinking about your own life, but you'd be surprised to know how many people are actually dealing with similar things, just like myself. So maybe this will help you with your perspective. And so let's go. So first of all, I want you to understand that you are a journeyman. And you're existing in a story that could very easily be a smash hit. Well, maybe not very easily, but if you stick to your own path, then you're going to have a unique story to tell. Okay? Now, if your story is cookie cutter, or if you try to model it after somebody else's, where's the uniqueness in that? Where's the realness in that? You're going to end up feeling empty in a sense. And also, you may not have the same outcome, which, I guess that would make it unique in that regard, but you wouldn't get to know more about yourself. And part of being a journeyman is that you get to find out more about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what you stand for, what you couldn't possibly stand for. Which brings me to my second point, is that this is where you invent this is where you invent or reinvent yourself. Okay? Because for so long, we've been so fixated on the external world, and more on that later, but we've been so fixated on the external world that we don't really give ourselves the opportunity to pay attention to the ongoings within ourselves, which is pretty interesting when you think about it, because most of our journey as journeymen is in our minds. It's our perception of things, Like, you see somebody laughing at you. If you have high self-esteem, you won't think too much of it. If you got low self-esteem, you think the person's picking on you. Whatever it may be. Whether the person's picking on you or not, But anyway, it's all about your perception. So you have this opportunity to reinvent yourself because you're uncomfortable. You're not trying to hide behind things. You're not trying to fit in with the crowd because that doesn't work. How many times have you tried to fit in or try to mirror somebody the way they were talking to you because you didn't want to be rude? And then after that engagement, the person was gone or the group was gone and you're by yourself, you feel like fucking dumb. You feel... What's the word I'm looking for? You feel kind of embarrassed, just like, that's not me. That damn sure wasn't me. But let me tell you from the other side, if you are on that side, but from the other side, it feels so much better to talk to everybody pretty much the same, okay? Anybody who knows me knows that I pretty much talk to everyone the same. Depending on who it is, it might be less profanity, but I pretty much just go about it this way. Which brings me to the third point, is that this is when you realize that nobody else's opinion really matters. And let me explain this. When you are feeling the way that you feel, you may not feel that way right now, but when you feel this loneliness, when you feel down and you look around and nobody's around, that's just it. Nobody's around. Nobody's around to pick you up, pat you on the back, say, "Oh man, it's okay, man. I accept you for who you are." People only seem to want to flock to you when you're on your way up and when you up there. And I understand that nobody wants to hang around somebody who's just like, depressive and just down all the time. But really, take this opportunity to think about that. Okay, so all right, let me give you my example, and something that I experienced many times. Is that when I found myself down and really on the brink, and I felt even suicidal, and just felt like I had nobody to turn to, which may be a lie, maybe just be a perception, maybe a narrative that I would want to tell myself. But anyway, when I was feeling this way and I felt like no one was around, it really made me question. Once I started making little strides to get better, it really made me question, like, why did I even care about their opinions in the first place? Where were they when I was down? So, who am I to let them dictate what I'm going to do with my life? I'm not going to let anybody stand in my way, because there wasn't nobody in my way when I was on my way to ending it all. When I was feeling sorry for myself. People only really want you to feel sorry for yourself when you on the up and up. Otherwise they don't care what you do for the most part. Like, yeah, whatever, he in silence, whatever. Out of sight, out of mind, really. And that's how a lot of us form this strong sense of confidence. What other people may say, oh, he's so cocky, or she's so cocky, so conceited, and all that. No, that what you see is somebody building themselves up. This is the result of somebody building themselves up. So it's to be expected. It's a no-brainer for me. I see somebody, it's one or two ways it can go. Obviously, it could be a sign of insecurity. I gotta walk the walk and all that and that. But also, very easily, could it also be the fact that you are dealing with somebody who had to build themselves up. So they may come off as arrogant and all that, but there were probably many times where they had to face adversity and face whatever obstacle it may be on their own. So that's what you don't see. And obviously, it can be passed on in many ways. Like if you take Nelson Mandela, for example, all that he went through, he had to keep building himself back up. And through that process, he learned a great deal of humility, obviously, and that showed in his character. But it's not for me to say how someone should act after going through great deals of adversity. Because after a while, Nelson Mandela had a lot of people rallying behind him, and we don't all have that luxury. So we kind of have to be our cheerleaders. We have to. We got to be nice and rah. We got to have our backs. So fuck how it comes off. If you're sincere about it, if this isn't you trying to overcompensate for your insecurities, then by all means, be your biggest cheerleader. Don't give a fuck about their opinions. Make a fool out of yourself. You made a fool out of yourself many times before. Put yourself out there. Get better. Keep learning. This is your journey. Loneliness is a blessing, and it's a sign that something is wrong. Something doesn't belong. Something is missing. So, and my advice is always the same, is that you need to spend more time creating art, creating bonds, creating a perfect madness for yourself. The good kind, where you can just be crazy, be insane, and get to know every edge of yourself. So, I know that wasn't the most articulate video, but I wouldn't change who I am for the world. Maybe I'll get better at speaking and all that, but really I just try to speak from the heart, and my heart is not very articulate. So thanks a lot for tuning in.